There is no question that a regular exercise program that includes aerobic exercise such as walking and running is good for our health. We read in the papers, see on TV, listen on the news about how obesity just continues to increase in our country, how type 2 diabetes continues to increase, osteoporosis, breast cancer, colon cancers are all on an alarming rise in this country. There's also lots of evidence that shows that exercise, aerobic exercise, can help to protect us from these afflictions, and if you get them, can help to protect you from some of the major symptoms. So I applaud you for being out there and walking around the circle when I see you out there. It's just really fun. Today I'm going to talk to you about shoes and how shoes can keep you from getting injured so that you can continue on your exercise program. Manufacturers make shoes in basically three parts. The upper is designed to attract you to the shoe, not this one. But when you walk into Lady Foot Locker or Nordstrom's or someplace like that and you look on the board with all the shoes displayed, you go, oh, those are kind of pretty, I think I'll try those on. Try them on, they feel pretty good, and you go, okay, I'll take these. How they look is the least important reason for buying a pair of shoes. In the same vein, all athletic running and walking shoes have a carbon or a rubber bottom. It's pretty industry standard. This material is the same material that they make car tires out of, and it is not a reason to buy a pair of shoes. What's important about athletic, technical running and walking shoes is the midsole, what goes on between the upper and the bottom, and that's what I'd like to explain. Shoes are made for 3 different foot types, so let's talk a little bit about those. First is the high arched foot. When this foot walks, it lands on the outside because that's the way the musculature picks up your foot. And if you look at any of your shoes, the wear is right here on the outside. It's what happens after that that's important. And in this high arched foot, it lands, rolls in, and goes forward. When you run, the difference between running and walking is that when you run, you're actually airborne. Both feet are off the ground at the same time. And you land with 2 to 3 times your body weight on one foot and one leg right here. So in a running motion, because that's so much more shock into the ground and coming back up, a running motion is in, out, and then pushing off. This high arched foot does either a walking or a running motion exactly the way it's supposed to. So that's really nice because knees aren't torqued, backs aren't torqued. It's not a bed of roses for this nice foot, however, because it's so rigid, it doesn't collapse very well. It's not a very good shock absorber. So a shoe for this foot type would be something like this. And I brought all Brooks shoes today because it's easy to compare something that's all the same brand. Brooks is a company from Seattle, Washington. They're a little company. All they make are technical running and walking shoes and clothing. And this shoe is called the Glycerin. This is the women's version. And in this shoe, we have HydroFlow. It's pictured right in here. And the HydroFlow is a little pocket that sits right in here. It's gel. And you land on it and it squishes around. It feels really good. So you put it on, you go, oh, bouncy, I could run and walk in that. In the heel, in this part right here, is this material called E-Fusion. And this material, it's a rubber kind of material. This material right here is the same material that rollerblade wheels are made out of. And it is a great shock absorber. So this shoe has lots of shock absorption and cushioning for our very rigid foot. Good news. It also has a very nice bridge across the arch, which tends to be a little rigid, so the shoe can't torque, allowing for more support, and also for something to push off on, so it makes the shoe feel very flexible. and then it has more of this hydroflow in the midsole. So this would be a great shoe for someone who had a high arch foot that had neutral biomechanics. On a bell-shaped curve, more people have feet that look like this. This is a normal arch. And this foot, when it walks, lands on the outside, rolls in, but rolls in a little bit too far and goes forward. In running, it lands, rolls in too far, so it never gets back out this way and pushes off. The consequence of that is, in everyday life, is nothing. It's called overpronating. And in everyday life, our activity is very intermittent. We sit down, we stand up, we move around, but when you go out walking or when you're running, that's a repetitive activity. It happens over and over and over again. So if you're doing this over and over again, rolling in too far, look what you're doing. You're doing this. So you're putting stress on the bottom of your feet, you're stressing your shins, your knees are taking a huge beating, as well as your hips and your back. Lots of times people come into our store and they say, oh man, my knees are just killing me. And we look at their shoes, and their shoes are just really rolling in, their feet are really rolling in. We put them in a good supportive pair of shoes, and they come back a couple weeks later and say, I can't believe it. The pain in my knees has gone. So this overpronating really puts a lot of stress on a walking or a running musculature. So manufacturers make shoes to address that. This is also a Brooks shoe. It has hydroflow, just like the other shoe, which is a nice gel packet back here. So you land just like the other shoe, and you have a nice squishy crash pad. One of the most important things that running shoes do is provide shock absorption. But as you roll in on this shoe, right after you land on the nice hydroflow, you roll into this gray. The gray is a different density. So it helps to slow down the rate with which you roll this way. And then all of this reinforces it. So as your foot, it doesn't correct your foot, it supports what the biomechanics in your foot is doing. So as you land and you roll this way, the shoe won't go with you. The shoe stays, the foot's collapsing in here, but the shoe stays in an upright position. So consequently, you're not doing this. So your whole, everything up the kinetic chain stays neutral. You can be more efficient when you walk. It requires less energy. You feel better. You get up the next day and you're not going, oh my God, my knees. And you can go out and do it another day.